Hello, sports fan. This is Stephen Hill for Sports Choice Plus, and I'm bringing you a very special breakdown. I'm going to be covering how Paul George going to Philly makes them even that much more closer to beating Boston. Before I get right into that, I'm going to make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel so you can get all the updates and all the breakdowns. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Looking at the news of the morning, as we all heard, Paul George is now a member of the Philadelphia 76ers. They went ahead and tied up Maxey as well with his extension for over $200 million. And the Philadelphia 76ers have their big three. The big three of old is not the same of what they have now. The trust the process plan is out the window. Daryl Morey has literally pushed all his chips on the table, and he's going to go to try to win a championship now. They've solidified the need for the third piece to the puzzle, and you got to think, having Maxey, having Joel Embiid, having Paul George, this is a big three that makes sense. Having Tobias Harris, and I'm just going to be honest with you, Tobias Harris was useless. From the standpoint of having, when they had Ben Simmons, when they had Embiid, and they had him, and they had Jimmy Butler, it was just useless because he didn't fit the build of what the team needed. He was just an accessory piece. He was a nice, expensive forward that you had on the floor that you were paying max dollars to. It didn't make sense to. This big three makes more sense. When you think of Tobias Harris, he was a space eater. But at the end of the day, he wasn't somebody that could create his own shot. He wasn't somebody that you were fearing, like, don't leave him open because he's just going to drain threes or hit medium range knockdown twos. He wasn't a guy like that. But when you add Paul George to the mix and you can have all three of these guys be healthy, that's a big part of this and what this could be. Because Boston now has to, that they got bigger. They got bigger as far as play on the court. They got bigger, and you got to think from the standpoint, Paul George is that guy that's going to close in the last couple of minutes. He doesn't have to have Embiid close in the last couple of minutes. He doesn't need Maxey to close, even though they're capable of it. This adds a Nick Nurse to the Nick Nurse gets a closer who can actually close and who can actually play with the flow of the offense. You don't need to create a whole nother offense for Paul George. You don't need to create a whole nother offense and have him specifically halved on plays. He knows how to play the game of basketball. We've seen him play with the Clippers. We've seen him play with the Pacers. We've seen his game grow by leaps and bounds. At 34 years old, he knows what he needs to do. Win a championship. Being able to win a championship in Philadelphia is going to be one of the greatest things that they could do if they pull it off. And you got to think, going through Boston is not as tough as it seems. You got to think, the route that Boston took to get to the NBA Finals wasn't tough. Let's be clear, it was not tough. Indiana is not going to be able to beat Philly if they're healthy. Let's be honest with you. The real test is going to be facing New York City with the Knicks. So it's going to be, I think, a three-team battle with the Celtics, the Knicks, and the Sixers. No disrespect to Milwaukee. They're not. I don't fear Giannis anymore. I don't think any team in the East fears Giannis anymore because he can't stay healthy. And Dame is not Dame who he used to be. So you got to think, these three teams are going to be in a slugfest throughout next season. And I think the Philadelphia Sixers aren't even done in free agency. There's a chance they could go out and try to get DeMar DeRozan. So you got to think, there's a number of things that's still left on the table for the Sixers to do. I think they get closer to the Celtics with this move. I'm not saying it's going to be the end-all, be-all when they play, but you got to think, Paul George is that guy. When you think of being able to have Paul George as your lead, and then you got Maxey and Embiid following behind, that's a hell of a 1-2-3 punch. From the standpoint of having a point guard that can set up stuff, having a forward that can set up stuff, having a center that can set up stuff. They all can pass the ball. They all shoot the ball well. They all have the IQ of a high basketball player. So Nick Nurse has an incredible knack for coaching. So if it's anybody else that can get the best out of them, it's him. So I think that overall, it's going to be a chess match. It's going to be a hell of a season next season for the NBA. And I think that overall, this is going to be a great move. So I think this move gets them very close to the Celtics as far as title contending chances. I think Daryl Morey did a great job with getting Paul George, and I think we're going to see the NBA season be one of the best seasons we've seen in a long time. So all you Sixers fans, all you NBA fans, get in the comment section below. Definitely check out Sports Choice Plus. We'll see you on the very next video.